Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's a somewhat slow week, up about 4%, but it's really just sort of recovering from the previous sort of couple of weeks drop, still kind of in a similar range, waiting for sort of potentially something to happen. Yeah, up sort of about 16,000. Looking at the CoinShares report, it was negative 513 million. Sort of expected this to be negative, of course. We knew most of the numbers, but I always like to sort of dig into this and just see if anything's surprising. So we got, interestingly, a positive on Ethereum of 205 million, with the negative coming from Bitcoin, and more than the total weekly, of course. The negative on the multi-asset as well. Still seems to be every week pretty much people getting out of that. Solana with 156 million in, so three quarters of what Ethereum got, and there's no US ETF still, aside from the little Rex Osprey one. So God knows what will happen if they get some proper ones. XRP with 74 million, pretty good, I suppose. And Sui with 5.9 for the week. It's quite a big total for them. Cardano as well, 3.7 million into them. Not seen sort of anything particularly bullish on Cardano recently, other than sort of price going up every now and then. Chainlink, 1.8 million, a little bit coming out of short Bitcoin, and 15 million into others. So interesting. Again, a lot of this inflow is coming into Canada, Germany, and Switzerland. 54 million out of Sweden, quite a big number. But it's Europeans, it looks like, investing in Solana, XRP, maybe some of these others as well. I presume they are. And looking at this week, it looks like we're going to get another slightly positive CoinShares report on Bitcoin at least, due to just Tuesday. It looks like 477 million, some sort of fairly small numbers all four of the other days that kind of sort of equal each other out, sort of 40 and 100 million negative, and then 20 and 90 million positive. So slightly less than those outflows, but should be a positive week overall. Largely coming from BlackRock, as always, but a little bit from, ARK, sort of all over the place. 162 million in, and then 250 million out of days, which is kind of usual for them. More coming out of Grayscale as well, so that just continued sell pressure that I guess will always be there for a long while. People sort of unwinding capital gains and things as and when they, when seems optimal for them. Not quite as good for Ethereum. It's going to be a negative week. 4 days of outflows, sort of in the hundreds, 140, 127, 93. Tuesday was positive for Ethereum across the board pretty much. The old and new Grayscale. So, it's just kind of a frothy day when people are investing in that. And 110 million into BlackRock even on the Wednesday, but outflows elsewhere made that a negative day. And then Friday was 100 million out of BlackRock and pretty much zeros across the board. So people not super happy with Ethereum at the moment. And then the little Rex Osprey, I see they're doing quite well on XRP now as well. So they're sort of growing their fund base. Certainly, haven't got the data on here just yet, but I'm sure they'll be adding it soon. They had quite a good week on the Solana ETF, sort of largely on Monday, 27 million in, and then sort of some fairly small numbers, sort of net zero pretty much. 4.5 million out, and then 2.9 and 1.5 in. So it was really just the Monday that he's doing the work. The treasury companies are almost sort of dead at the moment as far as buying goes. MicroStrategy, you get the sort of the usual "we bought some" tweet from Michael Saylor, and then Monday comes round and they bought 168 Bitcoin. So again, holding 640,000 and buying 168 doesn't make any difference at all. And Capital B, one of the smaller companies, they bought 6 Bitcoin. Not exactly huge buys. And the little smarter web company, the sort of I believe the biggest UK treasury company, they bought 10. So they were sort of buying 250 at their sort of big buying periods. Sort of buying 10, and we're just getting flooded with more and more AI photos from Michael Saylor. Doom Guy. Don't know if that's supposed to be Doom Guy or just an AI knockoff of someone that looks like Doom Guy. And Pirates of the Caribbean, pretty much looks like Johnny Depp rather than Michael Saylor. So this sort of page is getting a little bit sad now. Starting to get some of the Masari reports out for Q3. Got a lovely pumpkin on the logo. Not a huge amount of my holdings out just yet, but I did have the Tron one come out, which I do like to sort of focus on just on the stablecoin side, because they're still one of the largest stablecoin sort of platforms alongside Ethereum. And I'm sort of struggling to see why, to be honest. You've got average transaction fee hiking up over the last sort of year. Q3 last year, 83 cents, which, there are much lower fee chains out there, and then sort of moving up to $1.05, $1.11, not sort of too big, but then $2.73 last quarter, and now $5.67. So I've been struggling to sort of work out, I've been having a Google around and trying to find if there's some sort of layer 2 that the Tether people use to sort of get around this transaction fee, and I couldn't get at the data. So I can't imagine people are paying $5.67, to send some Tether when there are cheaper chains around. I think Ethereum even, especially, I don't know whether you can use the layer 2s for Tether, but even Ethereum main chain I think is cheaper than $5.67 a transaction at times. And I think given the choice, most people would use Ethereum over Tron if fees were equal, say. So a little bit strange. Let me know if if there's some sort of basically free layer 2 or something that people use Tether on, and they don't have to pay this fee, because this seemed very odd to me. Not looked at DeFi Llama in a little while as well, just sort of getting an idea of how much people are using. Checking in on Ethereum's TVL. USD sort of value is bobbling around, but I always like to look at it in ETH value. This is sort of how much people are actually using it. If USD value of Ethereum doubles and no one actually changes anything, then people sort of report that as increased use of Ethereum, where there isn't. People haven't done anything. So if you look at it in ETH terms, it sort of peaked around April this year and has been down ever since, pretty much. Ever so slight pickup from sort of early October to now, but a long way off the sort of 65 million ETH highs of April. So that's not ideal. Stable coins, I think, are up. So we're looking at stablecoin market cap in USD terms and take off the TVL. Has rocketed up, certainly from July, sort of 127 billion to now 163 billion. That is a hell of a move. Maybe this is partly because of Tron increasing in fees. I don't know, but from Q4 last year, I suppose that was when you kind of noticed Ethereum rocketing up in stablecoin value, so they could be linked. And Solana, sort of again, USD volume is sort of up and down very much with price, but that looks, I would say, pretty solid in Solana value. Sort of pretty much new highs, 143 million Sol. That little spike there was sort of 143, and yeah, August sort of never really got much above 141. So all-time highs on TVL for Solana, way eclipsing the sort of 2022 highs that they got with NFTs and all sorts of meme coins and things going on. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good. Oh, and Solana stablecoins sort of picking up a little bit again. They sort of got up to about 12 billion in February, and then sort of had this drop off, and sort of seemed to struggle to get any traction until sort of mid-September, mid to late September. They were at about 13 billion and sort of shot up to 16 billion. I've sort of retraced a fair bit of that back down to 14.6. But yeah, still a reasonable total. Lots of other chains have far less than that. Maybe we can eat into some of Tron's 78 billion. We'll see, because Solana, in theory, can be a hell of a lot cheaper than that for stablecoins. So not a huge amount of news this week. We did get JP Morgan sort of loosening their rules and regulations on crypto. They are now allowing Bitcoin and Ethereum to be used as collateral for loans. They're sort of being dragged kicking and screaming, I suppose, into crypto. You'll obviously get the headlines of Jamie Dimon, and sort of Jamie Dimon is now positive. He's going all in on crypto and everything. It's like that's not what's happening. He still hates it. He just, the blockchain teams and crypto teams will be pushing things forward and saying that they've got to do it. And I guess either him, maybe not even him, will just sort of sign off on it and, do it through gritted teeth. But yeah, JP Morgan getting involved more and more is, is pretty good. They're accepting, in June, they said they would accept crypto ETFs as collateral. So now they're accepting the actual crypto itself. So coming to Bitcoin mining difficulty, the hash rate sort of rocketed up to 1.37 zettahash on sort of middle of yesterday. We had some sort of spikes up and down, and has now settled at 1.12 zettahash. So not particularly ideal. Sitting at sort of 146 on the difficulty. Sort of looking at the 3 months, we're up a hell of a lot from the 129 level at the beginning of September, and so that was, just a touch under 130 2 months ago, and we're now expecting a rise to 156 because we're at very low block time, 6.5%, and that is Wednesday. So yeah, profitability for miners still looking rough. And surprise, surprise, the global liquidity chart is doing basically nothing. We had the sort of big spike up to new all-time highs, only a very slightly higher high than back in August, sort of beginning of this month, and then yeah, been sort of crashing around the lower levels again, sort of in this long range. A lot of people sort of going over to the gold to Bitcoin charts and ratios, and sort of saying, Bitcoin follows after gold's move sort of within 30 days, and then they start saying 60 days, and it's like, oh, actually it's 6 months after gold runs. And yeah, I think it's just sort of somewhat clutching at straws with ratios and things, and saying how things normally happen when they've sort of happened like once before or twice before. I think people are sort of putting correlation where there isn't really correlation. Perhaps I'm doing this with with the global liquidity chart, only looking at since the beginning of 2024. I kind of thought, because things had changed a little bit when the ETFs came in, and you sort of got this correlation with global liquidity. In theory, Bitcoin should be somewhat correlated to it over the long term because it's a sort of monetary deflation hedge. So, over the sort of longer term, Bitcoin waxes and wanes, but sort of somewhat follows the global liquidity, sort of going way back to 2019. You sort of see it run ahead lag the global liquidity. The money printing from COVID really kicked off, and sort of then Bitcoin rapidly shot up, and sort of was still, I would say, more affected by crypto-specific things back then. I think the sort of macro factors now affect it a lot more than anything else. So yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe these sort of lags can last a hell of a long time, and takes months and months. We'll have to see. Looking at coins on the weekly, Bitcoin has done quite well, 6.3% up. Solana just under 7%. Ethereum sort of lagging behind a little, 4%. Chainlink is actually outperformer for the week, just under 10% green. Metaplex 5.6, Helium 9.3, that's doing pretty well. Gito 8.7, Radium 4.6, and Honey, of course, is the only token I've got that is down, which is quite poor. No point in me selling it now. It's 360, whatever it is, 330 quid I think now. I need to adjust this price because it doesn't seem to calculate the real price if I use the same sort of tracking website that I use for the rest. So yeah, just another poor thing about Honey. It was a poor decision so far. The sort of Google Maps alternative idea isn't really playing out, but thankfully there's gains elsewhere to sort of offset this, of course. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Bit of a slow week. Like and subscribe. See you soon.